Chapter 10, June 3rd, 2017. Last night was an endurance test for sure. I was never going to do that again, but now I knew he was going to be perfect. I crashed on the couch and texted Tyler a picture of my new boy toy, the same one I took last night at the gym. I wanted him to see it. Riker's smile filled my heart with joy. It felt so genuine, and the wink in his eye showed me he was mine. An hour later, Tyler called me back.
Jason, how's the weather over there?
His voice sounded more pleasant than normal. He was up to something. Bright and sunny, getting a bit warm, but not as hot as you. Of course, he knew the weather. June in San Diego had the same general weather as January.
Good. Since we need to talk serious for a moment.
What's going on? I twisted some of my hair with my free hand, lounging on the couch.
Jason, I'm pissed off with you.
We had a good time in Vegas. What's your problem? Is hiring two guys at once too much to ask? Tyler knew more than anyone what really happened in Vegas, hot tub antics aside.
One guy wasn't enough? You could have stuck with just the blonde guy. I thought you and Emo Kid were history.
He's still going to pose for TCS. I don't see the point of this con.
60 grand, and oh, look at the time. Now you have 6 months to do it. Time's ticking, Jace, so just a little friendly reminder. If you don't pony up the cash by 6 a.m. Christmas Day, then you're on the fucking street.
Was he for reals? Did he just double the price because I hired another guy? The photos I had of Noel weren't selling too well, and with the money from them, I wouldn't even get a tenth of that. How am I going to get $60,000 by Christmas?
Ugh, use your head for once, Jace. You've hired 2 muscle boys. You're their boss. Pose them however you want, make them touch each other. I don't give a fuck. Post that shit online and you'll have enough money to pay me back in no time.
Noel would never fall for that. I tried that once, and short of drugging him up, I would never get to see him naked. Riker, on the other hand, felt like he wanted every square inch of his body worshipped by the masses. Getting the two guys together would take an effort, and would be my first step to getting Tribal becoming more than just a niche site, with about 30 nobody customers buying a vanity pic or two. I'll think of something, I said.
You'd better, Jace. Keep in mind, that's 60 grand in profit, not revenue, but profit. You don't know the difference? Look it up online. I ain't gonna babysit you on trivial shit like that.
Hey, you mind helping me out with writing a formal contract? I never had one with just Noel around, and since TCS was starting over, it didn't hurt to establish some rules for my boys, and for me.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I can write one up. Be sure and check that email address you never use tomorrow night.
Will do, thanks, Ty. My cousin hung up. To wear the big boy pants, I had to think of the perfect way to exploit the models. Balance was key, balance between their comfort zones. The easy way was swimsuits, and I had already done that with just Noel. Not to mention a nude model in public became an arrested model the moment I whipped out the camera poolside. To do anything, my gear needed upgrades. I drove to a camera store in Torrey Pines, north of the university. Their choice was limited and purely digital. Accessories galore such as timers, remote shutter release cables, and a variety of lenses rested in a sealed glass countertop in the back of the store, yearning to be bought. For the first photo shoot with both of my models, I needed almost everything on display. A single lens would not cut it, but each one's price tag made my wallet cry. The most expensive lens inside the counter would make Tyler's wallet sob enough tears to flood the entire store knee-deep. A wide-angle lens would fare better. There are 2 models, and more people would be interested seeing a decent shot of 2 guys' muscles than the ultra-detailed picture I would get with just one guy using a telephoto lens. Adding in the face factor, a modeling portrait would sell much better than a glory shot of just Riker's abs, but both of those pictures needed a telephoto to pull off well. The wide-angle lens was $100 cheaper, and price was the deciding factor. If I was to pay Tyler back, I had to spend as little as possible starting out. I bought the wide-angle lens, the timer, and the remote shutter release. Doubles won out in the end, and the fans could get a tease before diving into the world of muscles head-on. A middle-grade tripod resting on the side wall caught my eye, so I bought that too. That evening, I received the contract, stamped with the TCS logo I sent Tyler. It took a couple of tries to understand the jargon Tyler used. My meathead of a cousin was smart enough to write in legal speak? He must have plagiarized or used a template. Staring at the glaring white screen with black visual noise, I read the entire thing out loud, attempting to understand what it meant. One paragraph in particular stood out. I understand, as is the nature of the profession of a model, that touching by the studio or other models is a fundamental and essential function of my job. Genitalia and female breasts shall not be touched without consent from both parties. The rest of the body is fair game. As a corollary to this condition, nude posing is possible at the studio's request, and additional model release forms shall be provided to me prior to a nude photo shoot. This contract serves as a voluntary model release to non-nude photo shoots, including ones in underwear or swimwear. That idiot Tyler. No girls would ever model for TCS. There's no fee in male. I made some changes. All of the other paragraphs looked fine to me. I understand, as is the nature of the profession of a model, that touching by the studio or other models is a fundamental and essential function of my job. Genitalia shall not be touched without consent. The rest of the body is fair game. As a corollary to this condition, nude posing is possible, possibly encouraged at the studio's request. This contract serves as a voluntary model release to all photo shoots, including ones in underwear, swimwear, or in the nude. I saved the revised contract and printed 3 copies. After setting them on the coffee table inside a manila envelope, I went outside to play with my new lens. Sky dark outside, and with my camera wrapped around my neck, I took 2 pictures of the same subject, a meandering concrete pathway adorned with various trees, leading to another 3-story stucco building in the complex. The first was taken with my standard lens, and the second with my new wide-angle lens. The difference was obvious. The first showed more detail with the building and less of the trees. Only the smallest tree's trunk, the one in the middle, was visible in the standard photo. The wide angle captured everything, but I could not make out the lawn chairs in the second photo. In order for the photo shoot to work with real people, both lenses had to be used. Monday was showtime, and the models were to be the actors. Chapter 11. June 5th, 2017. I woke up to a loud pounding on my front door before the sun came up. Still in my boxers, I opened it and let Riker inside. He made himself at home right away by plopping on my green couch, feet resting on the far railing.
Hey, nice place, dude. Come too early?
Way too early for a surfer dude who looked like he'd show up 3 hours late. I shook my head and went into the bedroom to change. When I got out, Riker flipped the TV on. By coincidence, my favorite show, Mr. Ball's Wacky Adventures, aired a rerun.
Dude, you still watch cartoons? Why don't you watch sports like a real man?
Hey, don't judge, I glared at Riker. Mr. Ball was my favorite character, like the friend I never had as a child. He cared about me, the joy, the friendliness, the features he had that I wanted in someone. He didn't care about my sexuality, or whether or not I ate breakfast this morning. Riker threw it all away from his first words in my safe space in changing the channel to soccer. A little before 8, the doorbell chimed. It was Noel. I let him inside and took a seat in my favorite chair.
Who's that on the couch?
He wiped his feet on the welcome mat.
Riker, dude.
Blondie looked like he was glued to the soccer game. His whole body spread out like a botched crucifixion.
You're Noel, right?
First of all,
Noel kicked the couch.
the E's silent. Secondly, aren't you going to move?
Hey, stop that!
Startled from the kicks, Riker freed a spot on the couch for Noel to sit. He placed a business card from BBU on the coffee table, the same one he handed me back in Hillcrest. The 2 models stared at each other, then at me, then back at each other. As they gazed into each other's eyes, their mouths turned down, a sure sign they were not going to get along. Riker's frown was more pronounced, like he was ready to take Noel outside and beat the ever-loving snot out of him. Hey, Riker, I said. Want to help me get set up? After Riker stood up, Noel turned off the TV and laid on the couch while Riker's back was turned. I took the blonde-haired surfer into the bedroom and handed him my new tripod, keeping the door open so Noel could see us. With the rest of the equipment, I followed him back to the living room.
Aren't you gonna move, pretty boy?
Riker unfolded the tripod and planted it behind the couch, nudging it enough for Noel to roll onto the carpet. Noel stood up and straightened his bangs before giving Riker a dirty look. He turned his head and faced me, quickly reversing his mood.
Wow, Jason, you got a nice tripod. I love it.
Thanks, man. Now why don't you two sit down peacefully and we'll go over some things. Both models took their places on the couch. I took out 2 packets from a manila envelope and handed one to each. These are your TCS contracts. Both of you need to sign them and hand them back. Assuming they didn't bring their own, I gave each model a spare pen from my pocket, then took a seat in my chair. Riker and Noel stared at the piles of paper in front of them. Riker signed first. He probably didn't read the whole thing from the empty gaze in his eyes. Noel squinted while he scanned each of the 7 paragraphs with his pen, following along every word. I figured there was something in there he wasn't going to like. Nevertheless, he signed a few minutes later.
So now what, dude?
Riker asked.
We just gonna sign papers and watch your ball show or do something fun?
I began to explain the photo shoot. It was the same one I tried doing in April, but this time I knew for sure it wouldn't fail as I had my 2 lenses and my 2 boys. You two got your swimsuits? Both models nodded. All right, let's get outside and get some sun at the pool. Noel, you know the way. I'll take Riker. I gave Noel the tripod and saw him off, forgetting that I still had the key to the pool. If they weren't going to talk to each other, then keeping them separate was a better choice for the time being. Riker held onto my shoulder as I carried the heavy camera bag.
Hey, mind if I lift that?
I shrugged, signaling him to take the backpack off me. He caught the hint. The purple and black bag looked small for his burly shoulders, but fit otherwise. We reached the pool, and Noel tapping his feet and playing with his phone. He cleared his throat but said nothing as I showed him the key and unlocked the gate. We went inside and set our stuff on a trio of recliners lodged between 2 end tables with bright blue umbrellas for shade. You guys can change over there. I pointed to the stucco outhouse next to the pool. The boys would figure it out, but hey, a good host was a good host. The models went inside to change into their swimsuits. Riker came out first. Holy shit, I did not expect to see an Adonis that hot in my neighborhood, even though he was shirtless in the gym's locker room. Donning a checkered green Speedo, he approached me with open arms, ready to give me a hug bears would run away from. As his arms interlocked across my body, I felt squinched yet pleasured, for the muscle power in his body flowed into me. The hug lasted a few seconds, but the sensation could be felt for hours. Noel joined us on the pool deck wearing the same pair of swim trunks he had on in Vegas. His jaw dropped upon seeing Riker and me touching each other. He stormed at us, getting straight into my face, his body fidgeting around just enough for me to lose track of his abs.
Oh my god, first base already?
Hey, back off, dude.
Riker pushed Noel back.
Already called dibs on him.
You don't know shit.
I reached my arm out to reel in Noel. If I had a hand on each of them, they would be easier to control, and I would be able to pull off the photo shoot. Mustering all my strength, I wrangled the models and pulled them a couple inches. Stop it, you two, I said, holding them tighter. We can play nice or not play at all. I'm not dating either of you, so there's no jealousy. In reality, if I could get into either of their pants or both, I would shoot rainbow milk. The sensation with just Riker grew larger as I now had physical control, although limited, of both of my boys. The more I touched, the stronger the power, and whichever one caved first would be the milk's receiver. But for now, we had a photo shoot to finish. All right, you two. If we're going to be friends and get this done, then how about you guys get into the water? I let them go to fidget with my camera, interlocking the wide-angle lens onto the camera's body like a reverse decapitation. Noel and Riker ran and jumped into the deep end of the pool. Both models shivered from the change in temperature. My hand couldn't feel a difference, but I was sure their bodies would adjust as time went by. Both swam towards the shallow end where they could walk around. I positioned and leveled my tripod on the pool deck, ensuring I had the optimal view of anywhere in the pool. There was a concavity in its structure, amplifying the wide-angle lens to my advantage. I set up my first shot. Okay, guys, back to back. From the first pose, anything could have gone awry. The models faced their bodies away from each other. Heads back and looked towards the sky. Noel and Riker literally butted the backs of their heads against each other, startling the other model involved.
Watch it.
Noel turned and hissed at Riker. Riker returned the favor with a scowl. They lined up again with no bumping. I crouched down to the level of the camera, peeked through the viewfinder, and squeezed the shutter release cable. A couple more pictures just in case there was a blooper didn't seem to hurt. Keeping the models still was hard, but they pulled it off. One pose down, lots more to go. No way this was going to be a one-pick photo shoot this time around.
What now, dude?
Riker asked.
Why don't you have us face you?
Yeah, turn this way. Act like you're friends. Riker climbed his hand over Noel's back. Before making contact, Noel crept back in the water, almost ready to backhand Riker. What's going on? I said.
I don't want him touching me, man.
Noel said.
Can we take a break?
Now wasn't the time. Can't we get this over with? We don't have all day. Noel went back into position. Riker grasped Noel's shoulder again, ready to pull him in. Noel gave an awkward smile, but it was good enough to let slide. He stared right at me, despite facing the sun. I squeezed the shutter. Okay, you two. I waved at the models. Let go, and we're going to do this again. Take 5. Noel and Riker pushed each other to opposite ends of the pool. They stayed on their respective sides during the entire break, while I switched to my standard lens. If anything was to be learned from this ordeal, my models would have to work together. Easier said than done, as I couldn't control them, at least for long. That telephoto lens at the camera store begged to be bought right about now. If my models wouldn't play together, then it would have been easier to buy that lens, make them strip down separately, and shoot them inside my apartment against my beige walls. Pinups would sell better anyway. I typed that thought into my phone for my next photo shoot idea. With the change in setup, it was time to rock again. Boys, to your spots, same ones as last time. Noel and Riker returned to their positions. Their faces showed the same tension as before. I took 3 more shots using the standard lens. All clear? Just as before, the models pushed each other away. Their conflict was too much for any more pictures together. Using only the standard lens, and with both guys staying in the water, I cycled Noel and Riker through a set of individual poses I created on the fly. Whether blowing a kiss, standing arms cross-chested like a tough guy, or simply floating on their back, each model showed his unique grace swimming in the pool well into the late afternoon. After I took my last picture of Riker, Noel exited the water and approached me.
Jason, I think that's enough for a day. How many pictures did you take?
I scrolled through my SD card's gallery, holding the camera so Noel could see. The number 239 displayed in tall lettering on the lower right corner. I wiped the card this morning.
That many? Enough for you to work with for now, if you ask me.
Yeah, Jason.
Riker got out of the pool and started to dry off.
I'm beat. Need to go to the gym. Today's chest day.
Good for you, Riker, I said. They say a man's power is based on the size of his pecs. The bigger they are, the more power you got. Touching them right now was out of the question, as Noel was still on the pool deck.
True that, dude.
Riker winked. It's more than you think. Your chest houses the core of your spirit being. As your energy grows, your chest grows to fit it all inside. Of course, all your other muscles do the same thing, but that's...
I think that's enough hocus pocus for me. See you later, dude. Call me when you got another shoot.
Riker went into the changing room to redress into his normal clothes. 2 minutes later, he returned and left the pool area, leaving me with just Noel.
Chapter 12. June 5th, 2017. The ordeal was over.
Noel?
Jason tapped my shoulder.
I want to speak to you.
He tugged me into the changing room and slammed the metal door shut. Before I could respond, he slapped some perceived sense into me like a punishment I didn't deserve.
What were you thinking?
Have you seen Riker? Like, completely seen him for who he is? One day with the guy was enough to tell me he was an asshole.
Quit being prejudiced.
Jason poked me in the chest.
You can either play nice or not play at all.
I don't trust him, and I'd rather we work separate. I didn't want to be fired and bring shame to my career, but I had to tell it like it was. Jason said nothing at first. He was in thinking mode, sliding his hand to stroke his chin.
Maybe you should, Noel. Why don't I work with Riker for a couple months, and then I'll call you when I need you for a shoot? How does that sound?
Shit, he was firing me already, and Riker was to blame. Were all people with names like his or Tyler's assholes? Then again, summer school was on the horizon, and I needed to take a full-time course load, plus the research requirements. Whether I wanted to was another story, as Professor Hanamura preferred me as his muscle for his frivolous fluid mechanics research. A price to pay for being one of the few engineering students not to be a scrawny or chubby nerd like the rest of my family. It was a tough decision to make, but Jason wanted an answer. Why not, work with Riker during the week and you can call me on the weekends?
Maybe.
Jason stroked his chin more vigorously.
But you'll be getting a pay cut if we do that. 5% and Riker gets 15.
There was no pleasing this twerp. If he wasn't a marshmallow on a stick, I'd smack him to the ceiling. Maybe I should quit and get the child out of my misery. I'd love to see him experiment in a thermodynamics lab, or even better, be Hanamura's slave boy. I'll think about it.
I'll give you until tomorrow morning to decide.
Jason stepped outside first. I followed him, and with no sign of my blonde coworker, it was time to leave. After putting my clothes back on deckside, I returned home and called Riker. No answer. My heart told me once was enough, but my head needed this conflict resolved immediately, or risk being fired by the only photographer in San Diego with a gay male modeling agency. I called again, and this time, he answered.
Nah, can't talk, dude. I'm training a client right now. Maybe you should use that pass of yours and get some sauna time in an hour.
I didn't want to go to his gym, but it might have been the only way to rectify the situation without our working relationship spinning out of control. You know what? I'll meet you there. After hanging up, I glanced over Riker's business card and punched the address into my phone. It was a half-hour drive to reach the gym. As I got out of my car, the seaweed stench from the nearby beach curdled my nose. The gym itself was minuscule compared to the one I frequented, but from the crowds of people coming and going, it earned more than it needed to survive. I set foot inside and began my search for Riker. I found him in the locker room jabbering with a black bodybuilder for over 15 minutes before he noticed me. He wore nothing but a white towel, but his skin looked dry.
Sup, Noel?
Riker said, stepping back towards the cookie-cutter lockers behind him. I didn't mean to interrupt, but can we talk in private?
Yeah, sure.
Riker said before facing his bodybuilder friend.
See you later, Kyle.
Kyle strapped on his duffel bag and exited the locker room. Riker went around me and opened a sauna door on the other side.
No one's in here, dude. Strip down and we'll talk. There's some towels on the cupboard by the swimsuit dryer thingy.
Swimsuit dryer thingy? He meant the automatic swimsuit dryer. I turned towards my right and grabbed a white towel matching Riker's. He went into the sauna and left me alone in the locker room to change. It felt uncomfortable to honor the sauna's taboo of swim trunks. Riker was probably buck naked under that towel, so it would be professional for me to conform. I went into a stall. Its green prefabricated walls closed in, and the aquatic threat of toilet water stood before me, eager to grasp my clothes. I started with my flip-flops, the article of clothing already in perpetual contact with the grimy floor not unlike that of the hotel room in Vegas. Next were the jeans. I sighed, then took them off, minimizing defilement. Granted, if I had a choice between the jeans or the shirt touching the floor, I'd pick the former. It was less noticeable. Stripped down except for my shirt and towel, I exited the stall and placed my belongings into an empty locker. After taking off my shirt, the room grew cold, an incentive to join Riker in the sauna faster. A couple of the gym's customers stared at me. As a model, I had to get used to it, but I didn't mind. It was too easy to sort out the serious patrons from the ones who joined the gym to look at people like me. But who was I to judge? After washing my face and hands, I walked towards the back of the locker room where the sauna was located. I opened the wooden door and entered. It was warm, but not as hot as I expected. An L-shaped wooden bench lined the left and rear walls of the room. There was a fixture attached to the front wall filled with hot stones providing ample steam for the sauna's patrons. Riker sat in the back, and I took my seat on the side to face him. With no one else in the room, the steamy but refreshing atmosphere provided a cozy place for us to converse.
Watch this,
he said. Riker rose from his seat and latched a hidden lock on top of the sauna door.
Heat's low and now no one can get in here. So what's up, dude?
Locking the sauna from the inside confirmed my earlier suspicions. Riker was not to be trusted, either as a gym employee or as a model. Nevertheless, I played along. The gym was still open and people could hear my screams if the argument boiled to a fistfight. I cleared my throat and inhaled the cedar-scented wood and began to speak. We need to come up with a way for us to work together. Riker reclaimed his seat.
I thought we were.
He paused.
It's about Jason, isn't it?
We have nothing going on between us. Wasn't sure about him, though. If anything, he tried hitting on me in Vegas.
You guys went to Vegas? But yeah, I can totally see why, dude.
Riker slowly turned his head, bobbing up and down over and over, honestly freaking me out.
You're a 9 yourself. No wonder Jason picked you.
Riker, stop. I scooted away from him and towards the hot stones. Were looks everything to him? I stared right into his face, avoiding the eyes. His youthful jawline drew me right to his lips. I wanted to read his words. I didn't give a shit about the rest of him.
Relax, dude. I'm not hitting on you. Put two gay dudes in a sauna, and of course they're going to check out each other's junk. Wait a minute. Are you really straight?
How could he be so callous? He was just like everyone else. If you were a guy, then you were supposed to like girls. That mindset was pounded into everyone's heads as a kid, but I never thought I heard that from another gay guy in today's time. Who cares about my sexuality? I know a creeper when I see one. I got up and approached the door.
Yet you're still working for Jason? Wow, you're dense.
So are you, Blondie? I leapt forward and pinned Riker onto his bench, our towels touching. You don't get it, do you? I applied just enough pressure on Riker's neck for him to feel the pain yet able to speak.
What the fuck, dude?
He said, his face squinting in pain.
Are you apeshit?
Riker kicked me square in the balls. I cupped them, easing off the pressure on Riker's neck and allowing him to recover. I took a few deep breaths and collapsed on the bench opposite him, almost stumbling on the floor. After a few seconds, I recomposed myself and calmly began to speak. Any more physical violence would warrant a visit from security. I don't see Jason as creepy. He's ambitious, yes, but there's something with him that doesn't resonate nightmares. Riker took a few deep breaths and spread out his legs, creating a V-shaped opening in his towel not quite big enough for me to see anything.
What's that?
I rose from the bench into a seated position. I think he's got heart, putting up with both of us. Riker got up and walked towards the door.
Maybe he does. We better get out of here, dude. Gym's about to close.
He unlatched the hidden lock. Truce? I said, extending my arm out.
Yeah, dude.
He shook my hand, gripping it with force matching his muscles. Riker went outside and I followed, chilled by the sudden drop in temperature. We changed back into our normal clothes and said our goodbyes. Perhaps everything was about to work out after all. I would still have my job, and maybe Jason will be happy with both of us working together. The next morning, I gave him a call and decided to stay with Tribal Culture. Chapter 13. June 9th, 2017. Jason, Riker, and I sat together outside of a cafe in La Jolla, near the 5. Once comfortable, Jason went straight into business.
You guys got any ideas for our next photo shoot?
Hey, check this, dudes.
Riker pulled out his phone, concealing the screen from the rest of us.
It's a riot and I'm already going.
Well, what is it?
Jason tapped his fingers on the black wireframe table.
You got a new phone?
No, dude.
Riker took a sip of his drink.
It's a gay pride pool party.
Wait a minute, Riker, I said. I don't do parties. Too many people, and the music they play's for robots. There were several more excuses I could have listed. Riker set his phone on the table, the screen displaying an advertisement for the party.
We're a modeling agency, Noel. A pool party's the perfect opportunity for us to get out there. You know, get known, or even worshipped.
I shrugged. Riker stared at me.
Every gay guy who's something is going to be there.
Even Drake?
Jason blurted. I scratched my head while Riker rolled his eyes.
Who are you talking about?
Drake's my bestiest friend.
Jason's face beamed with joy as he fidgeted in his seat.
And he's a party god. Of course, he'd show up to a big pool party.
Riker turned to me, ignoring Jason.
So you going, dude?
Don't know yet.
You're chickening out on a chance to cash in on some easy fame? What's wrong with you?
Hey, Riker.
Jason calmed down after a couple sips.
I know that you and I want to go to this party and all, but we've got to do what's best for the agency, and everyone in it.
He grasped onto my arm, almost choking it.
Noel, you don't have to go if you don't want to.
I nodded. Despite all my complaining, it was worth a try if it meant my career, and it would give people a little more publicity. I'll go, I said. When is it?
Read it.
Riker slid his phone down the table to my spot. I picked it up with both hands and scrolled through the ad. San Diego Pride Party at the Marquee. Saturday, June 17th, 2017. Noon to late. Call or text 619-555-7789 for tickets. Beachwear dress code. That's next weekend, I said. How the hell was I going to get a ticket in time?
I've got you two covered. Now hand me my phone back, please.
I handed Riker his phone back. He tapped more than a few times, each click more annoying than the last, until he showed me his ticket order. 3 tickets with our full names printed on them. Jason Gilardi, Riker Q. Zenik, and Noel Geiger. This is honestly creepy, I said, but thanks for thinking of us.
You're welcome.
Riker turned towards Jason.
You're bringing the camera, right?
Maybe?
Yes?
Jason and Riker continued their banter while I whipped out my own phone. Before I could commit, I had to know where this place was. A simple search online showed me a location in North Park, just east of Hillcrest. A cozy, offbeat place. I wasn't expecting a high-rise anywhere outside downtown, but a place with only 80-some rooms would have to fulfill a tall order to host a pool party, even a local one. Perhaps it would be small enough for me to try it out, but not so small that we'd be the only ones there. Jason and Riker turned their heads towards me.
You look lost in thought.
Jason said. I shook my head to snap back into reality. No, I'm fine. Maybe we should do this. To be fair, I had a week to prepare.
Good. We're settled then.
Riker texted our respective tickets.
Don't lose 'em, dudes, since I ain't getting refunds.
Jason and I nodded. With our plan in motion, only a week of arduous and frivolous engineering research for my professors remained between the party and myself. On the day of the party, around 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I took a bus ride to Jason's place, following his request. Riker was there, clad in garments beachier than usual. Jason, too. The bossman called a cab, and within 15 minutes, we climbed into the back seat. Jason's eyes squinted, but on the inside he had to be smiling, our arms in perpetual contact. Our destination was the Marquis Hotel. We were there in 30 minutes. The outside's front facade resembled a plantation from the days of old, but the rest of the building did not conform. Tacky green and orange painted walls formed the sides of the 4-story building. As soon as the three of us exited the taxi, a cool breeze flew through the concourse and pierced our swimwear armor. 2 burly bouncers about Riker's size guarded the front doors, scanning tickets and looking more intimidating than necessary. We chilled in line until the guards scanned our phones. Once clear, we entered the hotel proper. The inside did not match the exterior. Masses upon masses of guys and girls alike squabbled petty squabbles about the latest celebrity breakup or murder mystery in the modern-looking lobby that still smelled of construction glue. Anything they said squeezed the minds or brain cells of anyone who spoke or listened. Riker was one of them, and as soon as we got inside, he had to jet off and join his friends. I pulled Jason aside to a secluded corner. We should go somewhere quieter.
Well, where?
Out near the pool?
What? It'll be louder outside. Noel, I thought you were going to try, man. You're already giving up.
Honestly, I wasn't. It was one thing to wade your toes, but another to dive in head first. Comparing it to my engineering education, if my professors started me with antiderivatives before I could do derivatives, then where the hell would I begin? This party would be the same way. I'm going outside, I said. You're welcome to join me if you want. Jason shrugged and went off to mingle with the other guests. I opened the glass doors in the back of the lobby and headed outside to the hotel's pool area. The courtyard sported 3 swimming pools arranged in a teardropped spiral, one for each of us. The middle one in the back, with its depth of 6 inches, was clearly meant for children, or in this case, man-children. On the left, a 3-foot hole filled with muscle guys like me jabbering and hopping on the selfie stick repelled my interest. The best pool was on the right, a 9-foot deep plunge with its own diving board and no one in it. I slipped out of my shirt, slapped on some unscented sunscreen, and caught some rays on a recliner. It was the best, no, the only way to enjoy the party, but no heaven. Music from hell blared from the DJ's booth behind the central pool. The volume grew louder every song, or every melody, as the songs blended together.
Drake?
A familiar whiny voice startled me off the recliner between DJ sets.
Where are you?
I stood up and faced Jason. What's wrong?
Drake's not here. I texted him this morning and he said he'd come and…
Snap out of it. I shook my boss. Maybe he's in that blob over there.
Too many people!
Jason shuddered.
Hey, check it.
The music stopped. Riker's nasal voice boomed over a loudspeaker above the left pool.
One, two, three, go!
The loud mob of squawking plebes formed a circle around a plastic block in the middle of the pool and quieted down. On top of it was Riker, wearing a plain white towel and holding a wireless microphone. Knowing him, he was probably slightly overdressed for his birthday suit.
Hey, before I get this gig rocking, dudes, anyone want to help me get ready?
A show of hands swept from the center out. Jason held his up too.
How about you there, way in the back, dude in the pink?
No way. There was absolutely no way I was going up there. I would rather do multivariable calculus than swim through a sea of fans to do who knows what.
Come on, Noel, do it.
Jason prodded me closer to the swarm. No, I whispered.
Hey, don't be shy.
Riker giggled over the loudspeaker. The crowd followed suit.
Why don't you have your friend come up here? He's so eager.
Jason charged into the pool, cannonballing behind the people in the back row. Once on his feet, he drilled through the circular mass until he climbed onto the plastic block. The murmurs from the crowd flooded my mind. Look at that lucky Twinkie. Or, wish I were him.
Hey dude, so what's your name and what you do?
An odd question for Riker to ask, seeing as Jason was our boss. Jason took the mic as Riker wrapped his arm around him.
My name's Jason and I do fun things. Woohoo!
Riker smiled and laughed off Jason's comment.
Hey dude, I'm feeling really hot. Wanna cool down with me?
Jason stayed silent as he ripped the towel off Riker's body, exposing a shiny gold Speedo specked with dollar store flakes and probably valued at several grand. His eyes widened as the masses cheered over honey-glazed ham in surfer form. Riker released Jason, then the music started back up, albeit at a lower volume. As Riker danced on the central block, two other volunteer go-go boys, not nearly as ripped as him, took their respective positions alongside the kiddie pool in the center. Jason plowed back out of the left crowd and rolled onto the deck. I helped him up and dragged him to the deep right pool with no one in it. Jason collapsed on one of the recliners, grunting on impact. He was too tired to speak, and his clammy skin drained the life out of him more than a syringe could. I bought a bottle of water and had him sip on it. So your friend didn't show up? I asked.
If Drake were here, he'd be in that deep pool.
Why? No one could dance in there except a giant.
He can tread water for over 4 hours at a time, man. He'd be his own party.
You mean the life? Like Riker? At least Riker had the looks to get away with such a publicity stunt. If I was to be as good a model as him, I'd have to step up my game. This was his show, but now I needed something. Jason and I continued talking at the recliners for another half hour before I was too exhausted to stay. He looked better with me by his side. Hey, I said. You and Riker have a good time tonight, okay? I've got to bounce.
What, you're leaving? What about dinner? They've got a restaurant here.
No, too tired. I stroked Jason's cheek. He smiled. After hearing an explosion of cheers from the left pool, I started to make my way back to the lobby. Before I could reach the glass doors, Riker zipped in front of me.
You leaving?
He asked. I spun around to the side. Yeah, Riker, I'm done. Jason's over at the deep one.
Hey, the dude put on a great show. Shame you didn't go up there.
He smacked me on the back.
Could have heard us from Hillcrest. Hell that. Gas lamp.
Aren't you lonely? I opened the lobby doors and slipped inside. My clothes were dry enough to not fuck up a taxi. After ordering one, it took 15 minutes for it to show up. I tucked into the back seat and rode back home. Once there, I crashed on my bed. Staring at the ceiling, Jason and Riker were the only two people on my mind. Riker was more attractive physically, but his immersion in the masses proved nothing but the popularity of the surface. I was not interested in that. Jason was horny too, but he did not partake in the ilk of the party, at least not willingly. He did not care about the butt sizes of the latest and greatest celebrity prisoners, nor the 10 most popular ways to make a man cry. From his mannerisms at the party, no matter how limited, he only cared about two people there, Riker and myself. I wanted to talk to him alone in a quieter setting, but didn't know a proper time, and he had to be ready for it too.
Chapter 14. June 17th, 2017. I shouldn't stay here anymore. My head throbbed from the blistering sun and humid air, water everywhere and nothing to drink. Exhausted from the heat, I closed my eyes.
Jace, dude.
Riker rocked my seat.
Starving here. Want some grub?
I groaned.
Hey, you're all tapped out. Might want to go inside a bit. Let me help you up.
Riker extended his hand just as I rolled the other way onto the concrete deck. The impact jolted my nerves, giving me enough energy to stand back up. Blood rushed to my brain, and I was ready to eat an entire restaurant's worth of dessert. After Riker changed into his street clothes, he and I returned to the hotel's lobby and searched for a place to eat. A sign with a plate and a fork denoted the only eatery in sight. Riker led the way with a brisk walk. A well-groomed host in a suit seated us in an interior booth near the back. After handing each of us a bulky fold-up menu, he took our drink orders, both waters, before leaving. I scanned through the menu, but little here caught my eye. Only a dish from the last flap looked appetizing. Riker spent twice as much time with his. It's a shame Noel left. I set the menu on the table. I thought he was having a great time.
Hey, Nerdy lasted longer than I thought he would. Dude needs to get out of his shell, but it's just you and me now.
How'd you pull off that little trick?
Charisma, dude.
Riker bounced his pecs under his shirt.
And a little help from my boys.
I shrugged. Well, I guess, but why me? Riker and I broke eye contact. He looked around the restaurant for a couple of seconds before answering.
You or Noel, dude. One of you guys had to be up there. Shit answer, though.
Let me guess.
Exactly. Gotta get TC out there. You can't just take pics of us and expect fans, dude. Ads are half the game.
I cleared my throat. Hey, mind if I ask a personal question?
Well, it's just us.
What's your favorite color? Riker tugged on his shirt.
Green, dude.
Oh, mine's purple. Not as aligned in the cosmos as purple and yellow, but a pinkish purple would match with a lime-ish green. They might not fit in an artsy way, but the stars say green and purple bodies blend well together. Noel's is pink, by the way. Purple and pink complement each other very well.
That's nice.
Riker scratched his head.
Why don't we talk about something else? Got any brothers or sisters?
Yeah, one, but he was adult. How about you? Of course, I was being nice. For reals, Justin was more than adult. He was a bully. Someone as strong as Riker here could beat him up.
Why don't you tell me more about him?
What was there? He had an anger problem and he thought I was a sissy. The end. You didn't answer my question. Riker hissed and hung his head.
Fine. His name's Spencer, and he runs a surf shop in Santa Barb.
A young waitress with a ponytail arrived with our waters.
Here you go, boys. Now what can I get you two tonight?
I'll have 3 bowls of chocolate ice cream, I said in a sing-song voice. Yay, don't forget the extra syrup. Riker reopened his menu.
What's the most nutritious thing on here?
The waitress burst into uncontrollable laughter.
I might suggest that glass of water you're drinking.
I'll just stick to that then.
Thank you, sirs.
The waitress scrawled some notes before collecting our menus. Riker turned his head back to me.
Hey, dude, you know that ice cream's bad for you. I bet you'll get diabetes by the time you're 30.
Hey, you take that back. It was his job to be the sexy beast and mine to exploit him.
Geez, trying to help.
What were we talking about? Oh yeah, your brother. I pulled out my phone underneath the table, hoping Riker couldn't see it. Any useful facts would help. So, he's got a surf shop? Let me guess, KZK?
Yeah, dude, that's his gig. Hey, enough about me. I want to know you. Cosmo shit aside.
I like things and I like bunnies and went to college for half a quarter.
Meh, college sucks.
Riker rubbed his eyelids.
Now hear me out. If Noel and I were hogtied to a raft in the middle of Mission Bay, buck naked, and you could only save one of us, who would you pick?
I don't know. You're both hot. If anything, I'd want to be hogtied in between them, only with my hands free, and with both of them slightly in front for the good old reach around. They could even be hogtied to each other. Before I could give a definitive answer, the waitress returned with 3 bowls of chocolate mountain goodness on a single platter. The ice cream itself looked delicious enough without the chocolate syrup, chocolate sprinkles, and even chocolate-tinted whipped cream. Each bowl was crowned with a giant chocolate cherry on top, 3 forms of heaven. I dug into the first bowl. As the spoon touched my lips, the chocolate toppings fizzled on my tongue, nourishing me with their whoopy and zany tastes. The bowl sat empty, licked and all, in less than 2 minutes. Its middle partner joined the stack of empty bowls in little extra time. As the spoon touched the ice cream in the 3rd bowl, I had to force it down onto the table. My stomach couldn't take any more bites, and icy blood rushed into my forehead. My arm muscles gave out, dropping the spoon beside the 3rd bowl, clanging and clashing against the table. My head soon followed, planting itself square into the frigid bowl. My eyes closed.
Jace.
Was that real?
Jace, wake up.
I opened my eyes to the sound of Riker's voice. An unfamiliar gray ceiling greeted me as my body regained its senses. I repositioned myself upright, facing a 60-some-inch TV, currently turned off. Where am I?
This here's my place.
Riker took a seat next to me. As my eyes regained focus, I turned my head to see what was here. The room I was in looked much more modern than my apartment. The living room and kitchen combo formed a rectangular shape, with a stained black quartz countertop bar dividing the two rooms. There was no dining table, but a place setting for one at the bar. A door leading to Riker's bedroom stood closed next to the entertainment center. Riker turned on the TV. It showed a recap of a soccer game.
You passed out, dude. Had to carry you out of there, and I bet everyone at the hotel saw us.
I hung my head. No amount of embarrassment could top that unless the ice cream was spiked. I had heard of vodka candy and pot cookies, but not so much hard ice cream.
Hey, don't be so down, dude. You did your best at Marky, so I've got a little special something for you.
Is it cartoons? I like that Mr. Ball show.
It's better shit than that. Unfortunately, dudes, because of YouTube's policies, I can't go over exactly what that surprise was. If you dudes know me well enough, you'll know I aim to tease but never please. Let's say, I showed Jace a videotape from my special collection, and he reacted just like I expected. Anyway, let's get back to the story.
The bright lights of the gas lamp quarter would make sleeping tough for me tonight, a sharp contrast to the suburbs of La Jolla. You know, what if we did another shoot with all three of us? I asked.
Are you serious? Noel will never go along with that.
I continued staring through the window, studying all the lights and cars on the streets far below us. Even the Padres stadium was brighter than usual. Don't worry about Noel, man. I'll take care of him. A buzzing sound from a blender caused me to turn around. Riker pressed his hand on the blender's top for about a minute before the cacophonous noise stopped. He poured half the contents into a glass and left the other half in the blender.
You want a glass?
Riker asked. What is it?
Protein shake, yo. It's peppermint flavored. You want one or not?
No thanks. Even with the flavoring, I was sure it would taste like mush. Anything healthy had to taste bad, like it was some sort of unwritten law. My eyes grew heavy. It was time for another visit to the dream world. Good night, Reich. The pond's water was warm to the touch. The waterfall flowing from the jagged gray rocks brought its heated goodness to the cooler water on the bottom. Noel, Riker, Drake, and even Ty. All of us were there, completely in the nude and frolicking in the pond's water. Various jungle trees and ferns surrounded the natural lake, their leaves dipping themselves in the water. The sky was stormy, but without thunder, with the extra rains joining with the waterfall to drench us in the secluded jungle. The scene of joy faded as Tyler slammed me into the water, head and all.
Where's my money?
He shouted.
You'll never get it. Those assholes are only dragging your life away. Why don't you grow up?
I pushed my head through his hand. You're wrong. The models and Drake turned themselves around.
Dude, bro, what's wrong?
All three asked in unison. I didn't have an answer. They faded away into specks of yellow, green, and pink dust, creating a tornado of cosmic energy surrounding me. Tyler stood in front of me, showing no emotion.
Justin was right. You really are a girl in a boy's body, so why don't you get fucked by all your friends and their friends too?
The cosmic specks formed themselves into a large version of my brother Justin, twice the size of Tyler and myself. His buzz-cut hair and burly yet untoned body towered over us while he wore a menacing grin.
The baby wants his blankies.
Justin said.
And here they are.
Justin tossed me a wadded-up green blanket with Riker's likeness on it.
And another one for your pathetic face.
He threw a pink one with a picture of Noel on it.
Now cry yourself to sleep.
Everything faded into black. At least it was a dream. The real Tyler would never abandon me like that, let alone get me within 50 miles of Justin. My eyes opened in shock. The room was dark, but not pitch black. The lights from downtown and gas lamps still crept their way in, even with the blinds closed. Countless thoughts raced through my mind. Would TCS be successful? Could I get my models to get along? Perhaps a neurotransmitter from my favorite show could work to keep my boys in line. Then with them under my power, we could make TCS 100 times more awesome, and I would get enough money to pay Tyler back. But that would never happen. Mind control didn't exist yet, and if it did, then wouldn't I use it on Tyler to erase the debt completely? No, I'd have to work at it, and as soon as I would get home, it would be time to put my boys to the ultimate test. Chapter 15. July 8th, 2017. The marquee party paid off. Through the rest of June, photo sales increased. At the end of the month, I received my first stipend, a whopping $2,000. Enough to buy that telephoto lens I wanted, and enough to encourage me to go forward with the next level, nude pinups. After making a quick trip to buy my new toy and some unscented lotion, I called both models to my place. Riker arrived first, carrying a black paper bag filled with wadded-up clothes and tropical fruit-smelling creams. He dug through the mess for 2 identical purple Speedos and tossed them onto my couch.
One of them's for Noel, dude.
I nodded before hearing a knock on the door. Noel let himself in and stood in the corner furthest from the TV.
What's the plan today?
Hey, don't be shy, Noel. Have a seat. I pointed at the empty end of the couch. Well, I hope you're both ready for this because it's pinup time. Riker applauded while Noel shook his head.
Come on, dude, you can do this.
Noel scooted to the edge, almost tipping over the couch. Well, since you're all excited, Mr. Engineer, why don't you go first? One of those in the middle's yours and the bathroom's in the back. Noel picked up one of the purple Speedos and went into the bathroom to change. Upon returning, my heart pumped harder than ever, but his parched skin needed moisture, and quick.
Hey, dude,
Riker handed Noel a small bottle of coconut oil.
put this on.
Why?
It'll make your muscles smile. Looks sexier that way. Jace, you should help him.
Noel glared at me.
I think I can handle it by myself.
I frowned as Noel re-entered the bathroom. Riker rose from the couch and took his own shirt off. Using a second bottle of oil, he rubbed his entire upper body. My eyes locked onto his zesty abs as they twisted. A potential passion in my pants pointed in his direction. If only he'd ask for help. 10 minutes later, Noel returned, and any passion I had for Riker died.
Dude,
Riker cackled.
you ever put sunscreen on?
Patches of Noel's unoiled skin stood out like a sore thumb. He handed the bottle to me.
Jason, please.
I followed Noel back into the bathroom and mixed up some oil in my hands. Don't worry about him. Noel turned to face the mirror.
Glad you understand. Can I be honest with you for a moment?
Now's not the time. Talking philosophy would distract me from oiling Noel's pecs. I pushed harder with each stroke, and the passion returned, 1 degree at a time. Every caress across his muscle-bound chest gave me more spiritual power. Pink flowed into purple, and our cosmic beings grew stronger. I finished applying the coconut oil to every last square inch of Noel's sculpted body. He was ready for the show. Both of us returned to the living room. Once there, Riker greeted us wearing a Speedo matching Noel's, but also with a puka shell necklace around his neck.
Now you look stoked to be here.
All right, you two, against the wall. Before I could get my camera ready, my cell phone rang. What did Tyler want now? Sorry, gotta take this.
Jace, you humping those lunkheads yet?
I went into the bedroom and slammed the door shut. Hey, we made some cash at the pool party last month. I promise I'll get it all to you by Christmas. Just needed to use those profits to get better stuff.
This is the last straw, Jason. You had 8 months to pay me back, and now you're down to 6, and you haven't given me shit. Do you want to live like your dad?
I want my dream.
And I want 60 grand.
But you're already a millionaire. My eyes squinted.
That don't mean a piece of fuck. It's all you, not me. Want to know how I got this? I dance 6 nights a week at Freestyle and get $1,000 a night in tips. Do the math, and that's more than 300 grand a year.
And?
Said this before. Your boys can make that much in 6 months if you put your all into it. Don't want to? Then get a real fucking job.
You've changed, Tyler. I hung up. Before I could slip my phone away, it buzzed with a long text message.
New deadline end of August. Thanks for hanging up on me, dumbass.
I dropped my phone. The air grew silent and my eyes grew heavy. Riker opened the door.
You okay, dude?
Noel rushed in.
What's with the long face?
How could I tell the models that I owed my cousin $60,000 in 2 months? Would my plight unite them? No, it was better to keep it secret for now. I shrugged and escorted both of them into the living room, shuffling my feet on the beige carpet.
So pinups or no?
Riker straightened his Speedo, then sat down. Both of you. I pointed to the couch, trying not to cry. Make some room in the middle. I squeezed myself between my Speedo-clad models. Their warm torsos soothed me. On second thought, it was better to tell. With my arms wrapped around their necks, hands on pecs, I poured out my feelings. Well, guys, I have a confession to make here. I'm in debt. Riker and Noel did not flinch nor say anything. I continued. After I dropped out of school, Tyler let me live here, and I didn't have to pay him back. He owed me for something he did long ago. Noel turned to face me.
What did he do?
I'd rather not say, but now I have to pay him $60,000. Riker's eyes widened.
What, 60,000? What the hell'd you do?
It's so unfair. My eyes started to water. And so selfish on his part. I bet he's richer than all three of us combined, and now he wants to kill me financially.
Calm down, Jason.
Noel reached for a box of tissues on the end table. He dropped a wad of them on my lap.
It's not your fault.
But why me? Why do I have to be the butt monkey of society? Everyone hates me.
That's not true.
Noel smacked my right cheek.
I don't hate you. I need you.
Riker picked up one of the tissues from my lap and wiped my eyes, then leaned his head against my neck.
Jace, dude. Can't choose your family. And since we're talking about it, mind if I give you and Noel a secret?
Hold that thought. Jason, please?
Noel shuddered and started to pull my hand off his chest. I released my hand and readjusted myself to hold on to Riker with both arms. Noel moved to sit on the floor to face us. With my right hand, I caressed Riker's abs, feeling every contour on his sculpted body. Feeling the cosmic energy from both models flow into me gave me the courage to vent. Now it was Riker's turn, and from his voice he needed twice the channeling power. The more I rubbed them, the less I wanted to cry.
Everyone comfy, dudes? All right.
Riker took a deep breath, flexing his abs to the point where a jolt of green cosmic energy zapped into me.
I grew up in a Christian home, and my dad was the pastor for the church we went to. Like any other piece of shit religion, they hated gays. My mom and my brother towed the church's line that if you're gay, you went to hell, with no chance of any sort of redemption.
Were you beat up for being gay?
Look at me, Jace.
Riker bounced his free peck.
If you fought me, dude, and my arms and legs were taped to a wall, you'd still lose.
You'd better bulk up, Jason.
Noel chuckled and flexed his bicep.
I've got a training regimen you can try out. Same one I started with.
Dude, not now.
Riker stared at Noel.
Jace and I are having a moment.
Noel shrugged, then pulled out his cell phone, planning to ignore us.
Anyway, I feel like we have a lot in common, what with our fucked up childhoods and all. That gay-bashing town I came from could burn to the ground, dude, and nothing of any value would be lost.
Which town? He couldn't mean anywhere near San Diego.
Some bumfuck place in SenCal. Name's not important.
Yeah, it is. Where could a wretched place of bad karma exist in paradise?
No, dude.
Riker winked at Noel and nodded at the tissue box.
Anyways, after coming out, they cut me off. Waited until 18, but since I had a few friends going to school here, I lived off them for a bit.
At least you had some. I stroked Riker's cheek, sensing there was some waterworks on the way. I had no one. Everyone thought I was a loser. Maybe I was, but no one, including Tyler, understood the suffering I went through. He was an enabler. He was weak. He helped Justin. Riker moved my hand back to his abs. They felt the same as before.
How could you be a loser, dude?
I don't want to go into it.
Hey, can I ask you something?
I nodded and let go of Riker's abs, reaching for another tissue and wiping the remaining tears. Once dry, I went back into position to continue channeling energy.
Why do you need Tyler, dude? What's he done for you?
Sorry, Reich, but I really don't want to get into it. You too, Noel. Thanks for letting me vent, you guys, but to answer your question, I'll have to think about it.
You two done?
Noel stood up.
Let's get those pinups going. Jace, you're not going to make any money if you don't take pictures of us.
You're right, Noel. I let go of Riker and stood up. Let's go. Reich, you're up first. Riker got off the couch and strolled to the position I pointed out earlier. Noel sat back on the couch and pulled out a book from his bag. After 5 minutes of test shots using the telephoto lens, I was ready to expose Riker's muscle-bound physique to the whole gay world. Riker's mouth formed a circle with his eyes as he tilted his head to the side. I took a few test pictures at various apertures and focal points. Once I had the perfect settings, Riker went through an array of poses, each sexier and more appealing than the last. 50 shots later, I pointed to his Speedo, then to the ground.
Not now, dude. Noel's here.
Noel turned around.
Someone say my name?
Yeah, your turn. Riker and Noel switched places. I repeated the same shots with Noel. They turned out okay. 100 pinups would do for now. It was getting late, and the more pictures I took, the more the oil faded away from Noel's skin. As the sun went down, it was time for one of them to leave so I could do nudes with the other. Then again, if Noel didn't mind, they could do them together and maybe make twice as much cash. You two want to take a couple pics together? I asked.
Not tonight, Jason.
Noel went back to the couch.
I've got a research project tomorrow for my idiot professor. He wants to do some shit experiment on the properties of chromium gears in an underwater environment. Pointless busy work.
Well, good luck with that. I nodded and helped Noel gather his clothes. He got dressed and walked out the door after saying goodbye. With the sun gone and Riker still in his Speedo, I needed some time to unwind, and he was going to help me do it. So, have I earned it yet?
Hey, let me see the pics first, dude.
I showed the camera to Riker. He looked content as he scrolled through each pinup, but didn't make a sound. When he was finished, he handed the camera back to me.
Well, dude, I guess one night's worth it. Just no pics, okay?
I gave Riker a nod before putting my camera stuff away. Hi, Jason here. Due to YouTube's content guidelines, the remainder of this scene can't be read here. Riker and I enjoy each other's company, and I get a lot more than just the tease he gave me last chapter. After the funnest evening I ever had in my life, it's time for Riker to leave and for me to get some rest. I finished getting dressed and walked Riker out of my apartment, helping him carry his bag of oils and colognes to his car. Once back inside, I lay in bed, realizing I was one of the few so-called losers to date a supermodel. Even Tyler couldn't help but to be jealous. Despite our night of sex, the thought of my debt to Tyler clouded my mind. TCS alone couldn't solve my $60,000 problem. I needed to ask for some outside aid, and the only person I knew that could help was Drake. Chapter 16, July 17th, 2017. I spent a few days editing Riker's and Noel's pinup photos, and although no nudes were taken, they looked photogenic enough to sell online. Even after a week of sales, pictures of the two models were not enough, and I needed some other way to make the money. With me having few friends and a no-show at the party, Drake was my only chance of a contact. We met at the Price Center in the same spot as usual, the second-floor lounge. With water polo season coming up, it would be a long shot, but better than nothing. After updating him on TCS's progress, I took a seat on an oversized chair. So, anything happening?
First of all,
Drake joined me across the way.
sorry about the party, bro. Was in Pismo ripping it up, but yeah, I've got something.
I pulled out my phone, ready to take notes.
Polo season doesn't start till September, but we've got our first practices coming up, and we need some promos.
Why the team's coach wouldn't do this baffled me. Why? Drake sighed, but kept his upbeat tone.
Captain said no one cares about us, and we need a kick-ass photographer to take pictures of our games.
What's it pay?
Talk to him about it. Hell, talk to him about anything polo and he'll get you stoked up.
It's Gage, right?
Exactly, bro. In 2 weeks, we have our first exhibition game, and we want to play in front of an audience. Bring your models with you. I'm sure they'd have a fun time.
I'll think about it. Wasn't sure what would be in it for the models. Drake would be all in for seeing the mysterious Riker Cusinek, bronzed god of the gay world of San Diego, as he would see him. But to me, Riker was mine to do as I please. Couldn't force him to show up, though. As for Noel, sports weren't his interest unless physics counted.
You'll think about it? Think about what? It's water polo, bro. Why settle for the appetizers when you can get a feast?
Water polo as a sport could drown in a salt flat for all I cared, but the buffet of shirtless guys piqued my interest exactly as Drake thought it would. Plus, I wouldn't have to pay them. Any of them hot?
Well, what's hot for you?
From 1 to Riker.
About a Noel .5.
Worth it. No disrespect to Noel, but there was a curve. Canyon view, right?
Yeah, bro, 6 in the evening on the 31st. And please, please bring your models. I'd love to meet them.
Canyon View Aquatics Center was only a 10-minute walk from Price, so not much further from my place. Its two pools hosted the Triton's aquatics teams, and for the little time I spent in college, I used to swim there. A legit excuse to scope dudes. Now I had an even more legit excuse. I'll talk to them. Riker and I met at his condo in the late afternoon. I sat on his couch staring at him as he did a few pull-ups before joining me. I was still thinking about that one night. I placed a hand on his black BBU tank top. That was the most I felt alive.
Really, dude.
He said with a flat tone. You weren't interested? I could sense a shadow of doubt in him and little chance of a second show. Then another one tonight?
No, dude, it's gotta rest, you know.
How much sex could a guy have before it would be tiring? Did he even feel anything down there anymore? Even though he was my first time. Perhaps I wasn't his. Not his 50th either. Then again, if I looked like him, I'd be rolling around too. But something about him told me he wasn't dating anyone else. Wasn't sure what. Hey, I sleeved my hand through Riker's tank top and patted his chest. I needed some more pinups and Noel's not here, so do you mind?
Give me a sec. Close the curtains while you're at it.
Riker let me go and went into his room. I rose from the couch and blacked out all the living room's curtains. The lack of sunlight darkened the room to an intimate level. When Riker came back, he was in a metallic red Speedo and carrying a pair of matching silk sheets. I gulped on the inside from the amount of blood-spattered red on him. It was scary. Nudity would have been much better.
What's wrong, dude?
Riker set the folded sheets on the table. I'm scared of red. It's so violent.
Red's a passion color. It's all about love.
Let's just do this. The sooner I got this photo shoot done, the sooner I could ask Riker out to the water polo game. I posed him against the silver curtains. 50 shots and 10 poses later, we were finished. The silken sheets made Riker look sexier than he was in the nude. As they draped on his warm skin, I couldn't help but to feel that same pleasure as always. But business came first. Once finished, Riker took a seat at his table, forcing me to stand behind him. I massaged his shoulders. Rike? Some cosmic cat caught my tongue. Want to go to a water polo game?
Water polo, it's like soccer, right?
Kinda. Except people wouldn't use their feet. I promised a friend that I'd go to his game, and he wanted you there too. He's a fan of you, man. Riker shrugged, and I released my hands.
A fan? Wouldn't mind giving him an autograph. And I guess you don't want to go alone, dude. I'll come with.
All right. I pumped my fist. With Riker on board, I didn't need to ask Noel. He was probably researching stupid engineer stuff anyway. With business out of the way, Riker and I retired to his couch again. He turned on the TV while I rested my head on his lap. Anything to keep that scary Speedo out of my sight.
So what's the deal with the red?
He just wouldn't let it go. I told you. It scares me. Justin always wore red. Red to match the blood. My blood. That bled from my frail body every time he beat me up after school. Seeing it in scary movies all the time didn't help either. If Riker wore that green one of his, the shoot would have been much easier.
Let it go, dude.
Riker sensed the tension boiling over me.
Just stare at my chest and take a few breaths. In and out. In and out.
I inhaled slowly. The sight of Riker's sexy pecs was calming. All that concentrated power made me lose my train of thought over my terrible brother. As I exhaled, his chest loosened, and his own pent-up energy escaped into the world. Every breath calmed us down more than the last. With both of us relaxed, I was ready to ask him something personal, more than his favorite color. So, Rike, why'd you start working out?
Bullies, dude.
He took my hand and washed it down his 8-pack.
If I looked tough, then they wouldn't mess with me. Every time I lifted, every supplement, anything to be stronger than them. Football players knew not to mess with me, even though it's all a show. Being a meso-ecto mix helped, too.
What's that last part mean?
Body structure, dude. You're a pure ectomorph. It's why you can eat 3 bowls of ice cream and not gain a pound.
Maybe I was born lucky then. A whole pizza might make me gain weight.
Anyway,
Riker flinched.
as I was saying, the football jocks noticed my gains and, at least physically, No one beat me up. Still couldn't help from the homophobic rants I heard every Sunday at church.
But you're not there anymore, right? I had Riker, and he had me. He didn't have to go to his gay-forsaken church.
Exactly, dude. Not sure what whack job religion you are, cosmic shit and all, but if you ask me, there's no higher power, there's no sacred book, and no one rose from the dead. Hate to borrow from Noel's science crap, but God's something people made up because they're lonely and wanted a friend who was always there for them.
You take that back. I rolled off Riker and smacked his face square in the jaw. Wish he didn't make fun of my beliefs.
Holy shit, dude.
He didn't budge nor hit back. Riker took another deep breath.
Nice punch, but look at the time here. It's getting pretty late.
Anything to get out of here if he was going to rant against my spiritual beliefs. I gathered my camera equipment and walked towards the door. See you at the game. Riker and I parked east of the Canyon View Aquatic Center, in the heart of the UCSD campus. For a Monday afternoon, parking was easy. After a short walk, we arrived at the southern gate, paid $5 each for admission, and stepped inside. The western pool lay quiet in the late afternoon sun. 2 gold cages floated, creating subtle ripples in the water. Fumes from the bromine-treated pool irritated my eyes, but Riker didn't look affected. Even though the complex could seat 1,000 people, the bleachers baked bare as if no one cared about water polo. Riker and I took our seats on the west side of the pool on the lowest level.
Yeah, was thinking more people'd show up.
Riker took out a water bottle and gulped the whole thing in one go. We're still a little early. I placed my camera bag on the seat next to me and unzipped it. Camera strap wrapped around my neck. I took some test shots like usual. The whole pool was visible from the viewfinder, and from goal to goal, any shot was possible. A half hour later, the entire UCSD water polo team slipped through a pair of double glass doors onto the eastern deck. About 30 guys in ponchos formed a line. Half wore white caps, and the others wore blue. On each end were 2 guys with red caps. Using my camera, I zoomed in looking for Drake, but couldn't recognize him with his cap on. With no idea what his number was, I snapped photos panning from one side of the pool to the other. Certain Drake would be in at least one. The team split into 2. Blues on the south and whites on the north. Unable to notice Drake from afar, I left my camera equipment with Riker and ran across the pool deck to a canopy housing the blue-capped players. 15 guys sat in 2 rows of folding chairs facing the pool. As I approached the back row, an intimidating man wearing cap number 7 turned to face me.
Can I help you?
His voice lacked tone, and the turquoise aura from him resembled my cousin's. Is Drake here?
Who are you?
The burly jock frowned more with every word he said. Drake said that the captain of the team was looking for someone to take pictures of.
Listen, buddy, I'm Gage and I'm the captain. I don't know who you are, but I didn't authorize anyone to take pictures of the game.
How many times did Drake have to betray me? First the party, and now this. Was he even here? But Drake said,
Sorensen tells me everything.
He's not doing anything wrong, Captain.
Another player wearing cap 11 butted in.
This game's public, remember?
The captain stroked his chin.
Fine, you can stay, but you need to be over there where your friend is.
I sulked back to my seat, camera hanging under my neck. Riker was playing on his phone the whole time.
All right, both sides.
Gage screamed to ensure the white caps could hear.
75 free, 25 egg beater.
Everyone on the team stripped out of their ponchos, revealing glossy blue Speedos with the Triton logo on them. A show of muscles I wasn't invited to, but I had my own next to me. Starting with the blue side, I zoomed in on the hunky players. Most were duds, but the captain that dejected me had the hottest body on the east side of the pool. 2 others stood out on the blue camp, number 11 and number 19, the former with his swimmer's build, and the latter with his broad shoulders. The white side had fewer pieces of eye candy. 13 and 24 caught my eyes first. 24's darkened skin resembled Drake's, but with other players with a similar tone, it was too risky to take chances. I took as many pictures as I could before the team jumped into the pool, breaking the serene energy inside. The team continued their warm-ups, while Gage yelled more commands. I snapped more pictures of the team tossing balls to and fro and shooting goals against the players in red. Once warmed up, everyone swam to the east side. All was quiet. Riker looked away from his phone, sensing the silence.
You find your friend yet?
I shook my head. He was probably on the white side.
Shit, kinda rude not to wave. Dude can't notice Mardi Gras from 50 yards away.
2 minutes until game time, and if there was a minute for every attendee, Riker and I would each have 1 minute. Even the players' parents stayed away. A buzz from the northern scoreboard signaled the start of the game. 6 against 6, the field players sprinted for the ball.
Blue ball, blue ball.
The goalie on the north end flailed his hands for his teammates' attention. The first drive spread around the west side, an easy opportunity for some nice photos. My camera was my eyes, chasing the yellow ball wherever it went. 1 second north, the next south. No announcer could decipher the yelling and tackling in the pool water. White scored first, then blue scored too. My arms ached from holding the camera for so long. Such action needed a tripod, yet didn't. 10 minutes of play later, relief. As the makeshift teams returned to their canopies, I rested my arms and dropped my camera, knowing the strap would save it from a decked-out demise.
You look tired, dude.
Riker removed my camera from my neck.
You sure you can make it?
I'll be fine. My throbbing arms could suggest otherwise.
Want me to take over?
No, just give my arms a little rub down, okay? Riker stroked my arms, giving enough energy for the second quarter. At halftime, the score was doubled. Blue 4 and white 2. The teams switched sides, and with Gage on the north end, I gave the camera to Riker to meet with the white-capped players. 5 minutes was all I needed, then they could play. I caught them just as they were about to sit down.
Yo, Jace, bro.
Drake was number 24?
What's up, man? Got good pics?
Yeah, I'll show him after.
For sure.
Drake took his seat and faced the pool. But why'd you lie? No response. I went back to my spot on the west side at the start of the third quarter. The second half of the game played a lot like the first. My camera filled up with pictures of the action, with every attempt at a pass or a goal, and with every time a goalie blocked a shot. I didn't care what Riker was doing. The game mattered more, if only for the small chance of paying Tyler back sooner. Even if I had no support here, a second brand online would sell these. At the top of the hour, the game was over. The blue side won 10-6. After the teams shook hands, they mingled on the east side of the pool. Now was the time to go over there. Riker and I gathered our stuff and walked over towards the crowd. We kept our distance to not intrude on them.
All right, guys.
Gage addressed everyone on the team.
We'll do this again on Thursday. Since White lost, they will need to show up 2 hours earlier for a double practice. Blue will arrive normal time. Break on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Team!
The crowd dispersed. Drake! I ran alongside the edge to track him down. He was standing next to Gage. The captain took his cap off, revealing a spiky mess of blonde hair lighter than Riker's. Drake did the same. I raised my camera to catch Drake's attention. He and Gage were too busy talking gibberish about water polo to notice me. The entire conversation involved numbers and a deal or two about faking. A moment later, Drake turned towards me.
Hey, let me see those pics, bro.
Sorensen.
Gage stared at his teammate.
Really?
I showed Drake the pictures I took at the game. Gage joined in to see them. He was a stone, not flinching a single muscle as I pressed forward on each picture. About 10 pictures later, Drake pushed the camera back to me.
Those are pretty good, bro.
Thanks. I waved for Riker to come here. He joined our little circle and we exchanged intros.
Pleasure meeting all you dudes.
Riker feigned a wave.
I need to go.
Gage said.
Whoever you are, you're not half bad. I'll pay you $500 per game if you can keep it up.
Really? My heart boosted to the sky. An entire season of water polo ahead of me meant spending 5 months with more muscle-bound guys, allowing more energy to blend together. I'd love to.
Thank you.
Gage left the group, leaving the 3 of us deckside.
So you're really him?
Drake patted Riker's shoulder.
Back off, dude.
Riker stepped back.
Didn't your boyfriend just leave?
Sorry, bro, not every day you meet a celebrity.
Hey, Drake. I saw the rest of the team from the corner of my eye. Any chance for me to meet your friend here?
Oh, Dustin, let me get him for you.
Drake walked off. Another moment later, he returned with another blonde guy wearing a pair of black headphones.
Don't worry about them, he says they're off.
I shook hands with Dustin. Drake told me you're a rock star, right? Got any photo tips?
What?
Dustin brushed his wet hair.
Come on, Dusty.
Drake nudged Dustin's shoulder.
Meet up with the bro, he's been dying to see you. Tell him about your band and all.
It's only fair. I tapped on Riker's shoulder.
Whatever.
Dustin stroked his chin.
It's Air Force trauma. You've probably heard of us.
Played at Sun God.
Drake interrupted.
Toured the whole West Coast, and he's written some water polo songs.
I nudged Dustin's arm. Want to sing one?
No thanks.
Dustin stepped back.
Nice meeting you, but I need to get changed. I'll meet you at Price on Thursday.
With most of the team gone, it was time for Riker and me to go. Drake didn't need us to help him change back into regular clothes. After leaving Canyon View, I reached the car. As soon as I stepped in and started it, an uneasy feeling entered my mind. Shit, I left Riker behind. I stopped the car and rushed back to Canyon View. The gates were closed. Did he run off?
Chapter 17, July 31st, 2017. The kid was gone, and Drake was ripe for the taking. I followed him into the locker room. The place was plain, and the restroom part was the perfect hiding spot to watch him shower. Besides me, he was the only dude who knew game on the boss man. Still in his Speedo, he turned the shower on and washed up. He couldn't know I was snooping.
Fucking Sky, bro.
Shit! Now he was talking to himself. The longer he went, the louder he got, and the more he scrubbed the bromine out of his hair.
If he could have just passed to 45, then we would have won. Cody was no match for me, and you knew that.
The whiny twerp kept shit-talking his team while rinsing, but as he scrubbed his body down, his voice calmed.
Only for you, Captain. I love you so much, bro. If you didn't double practice with us, I wouldn't even be on this stupid team. Thankfully, Jason showed up. And that hunky Riker, too.
That's right, Drake. Keep describing me. The splashing water barely missed my hiding spot. Better to stay quiet, and to listen to him worship me some more.
Wish he stayed here. Oh, I'll never be with him. I'm not worthy.
He turned the water off, then turned around.
Riker?
The gig was up. Cover blown, I slid out in the open.
What are you still doing here?
Drake took a step back. I need something from you, dude. Drake raised his arms. The bulge in his Speedo started to grow.
Whatever you do, bro, I won't call the cops.
Bitch, please. He would never see me naked with his own eyes. How long have you known Jason?
Couple years.
He calmed down.
We roomed together.
Funny how two gay guys were picked by a computer at random to share a dorm room. Funnier that the same two guys didn't bang. I could see doubt in his eyes. This twerp has a pity boyfriend who's only interested in him because he's good at water polo. Fuck the sport, and you fuck him too. Okay, so how was he like?
Oh, nothing, really. Mostly kept to himself, but he talked in his sleep a lot.
Didn't care about that, like Jason's moonbeam bullshit. If I left, though, I'd never get his trust. Why'd he drop out?
I don't know, bro. Why don't you ask him?
Drake walked closer to his stuff on the bench. I blocked his access. He wasn't going to leave until I got what I wanted. Eyeing his denim shorts, he could tell me everything, or walk back to his dorm in a Speedo. There was still some mildew in the showers, and the shorts looked extra dry, so there was that option too. Either way, he was going to talk. Hey dude, can you at least give me his birthday? Drake shuddered. He gestured me to get out of his way.
You're making me a bit uncomfortable, bro, and I seriously need to get changed.
Whatever. I stepped aside to at least let him get dressed. The doorway looked like a new spot to keep him from leaving. Drake put his clothes on. That yellow shirt of his could be seen a mile away, but with his platinum blonde hair, it was okay. Arms spread out like that horrid cross, I made my second stand. Drake stomped his foot and checked his phone. I wasn't going anywhere. Dude, why don't we go somewhere to eat? That place at Belmont looked appetizing. We could go surfing after. How about sushi?
You know you're more of a wall than a door, bro.
Now the dude was pissing me off. You didn't answer my question.
Just move already, bro. You're freaking me out.
The locker room door behind me opened. A chilling wind from the outside hallway broke through my shirt. I released my grip on the walls.
Center's closed. You both need to leave.
A middle-aged security guard forced us to pick up our stuff and go. Once outside, Drake and I walked away without a word. Jason was nowhere to be found in the parking lot. Was I in the locker room that long? He lived close enough to give a sexy beast like me a ride home, or at least to the gym. He hadn't taken either of my training offers, physical or sexual. The gym cried for me more than home did, and my body needed its evening workout thirst quenched. I called Jason. No answer. Must be asleep. A bus stop not too far from here could be my way to BBU. Tomorrow was a day off training my regular clients, so I could hit the weights a little more. I waited at the stop, hoping Jason would call me back, but the bus arrived before he could. For 10 in the evening, the gym was busier than usual. One protein shake later, I was ready to get shredded. The burn filled my chest and shoulders with excitement, the most I could rep. With my workout finished in just about an hour, I went into the gym's lockers. Kyle was there. He must have snuck in. He gulped an entire water bottle and sat on the bench.
How's your modeling going?
He drank another bottle of water. Hey, just met a crazed fan tonight. Kind of an asshole, dude. I dressed down to my usual green Speedo, using a gym towel to protect my junk. Sauna, dude?
Not tonight. How about the hot tub?
Kyle clenched his fist.
Need to let off some steam.
With my towel wrapped around, I started walking. What's wrong?
My roommate's pissed off.
Kyle's voice could have been heard from the beach outside. We reached the hot tub. Kyle turned on the jets and stepped in, wearing his red swim trunks that matched his anger. I joined him after losing the towel.
He's pissed because he lost some stupid game and he's dumping all his shit on me.
Kyle punched the air.
Fucking Drake.
Drake? The same one I met tonight? No wonder he was ticked off. It could have been a different Drake, though. Dude plays water polo?
How'd you know?
Kyle sat still for a bit, then slid away.
You creeper? He said shit about you too.
You don't get it, dude. He's only a fan.
I can't trust you.
Kyle climbed out of the tub and raced for his towel. What was going on? Was my world falling apart? What the hell did Drake say? The bastard didn't know me. He never will. You know what, dude? I splashed the water in front. Just go and dry yourself off. Kyle ran across the hall to the lockers on the other side. Why would he take Drake's word over mine? 2 minutes later, silence. I stepped out of the hot tub and dried off. The once bustling gym died down as the clock struck midnight. It was getting late, and I needed to get home, or I could crash on the cot in the staff room. Instead, I went out to the beach. The starry skies and calming winds cleared my head. In one spot, a couple roasted marshmallows over a fire pit. They seemed happy. In another, a group of friends sang songs and drank 6-packs of beer. What did they have that I didn't? Even with the perfect body and the sex appeal of a god, I couldn't have real friends. All those well-wishers and hopefuls wanted to be me, but they didn't know shit. They didn't know my suffering. I took in more of the sea breeze. My mind worked too fast for meditation, and my favorite de-stressor was illegal out here. How'd you do it, Spencer? You were always the favorite. You and your posse of girls, and Mom and Dad's approval. My whole body grew heavy. Jason never called, and I needed rest. I went into the gym's staff room and crashed on the cot. That sleep killed my back.
Wake up, lazy bones.
The gym's manager, a powerlifter about my age, shook me off the makeshift bed in the staff room. Her voice was flat, almost sounded like a man's.
Rough night?
I'm fine, dude. I brushed myself off. The stench from the cot needed 50 showers.
That's good to hear.
She handed me a client's folder. The tab was blank.
Because you have a new client.
A new one? I have a second job, you know.
No, this particular person insisted on you as their personal trainer. Says you're a friend. They're coming in about 2 hours.
So Jason bit after all. About time the dude learned to be a man. Had to suck it up for him, since he was half my life anyway. What's he want?
They didn't say.
She sat in front of her computer and turned it on.
Maybe if you use that waterlogged brain of yours, you can look inside that folder and see for yourself. Now get out of here and washed up before I fire you.
All right, dude. I get it. I carried the new client's folder to the locker room and exchanged it with a shower towel in my locker. After getting cleaned up and dressed, I peeked in the folder. The chicks at the counter can't fill in shit. At the very least, they could put in a name. All they had were measurements. 6'1", 180 pounds, and a lean build. Wasn't him. To kill time waiting for my mystery friend client, I hit the weights. My chest was still sore from last night, and now it was my back's turn. After my last machine, I got a text.
Your appointment is here. Please report to the front counter.
Once there, a hooded man with a familiar face shook hands. Kinda strange to bundle up in the heart of summer, and especially strange to wear a hoodie to a gym. Hey dude, take it off please. He refused.
We need to talk outside.
Why? Noel's deep voice gave him away. Not sure why he needed to go outside. Was he trying to fool me?
Okay, we'll do it in the sauna like last time.
Not now, dude. I'm on the clock. I brought Noel to one of the squat racks. Have you done any exercises today? Noel shook his head. I watched him as he did all of his leg and abdominal training. He never took off the hoodie. His form needed work, but by the time we got to the calf extension, it was clear he wasn't interested in multiple sessions. As with every client, I wrote his progress on each of the machines. He could lift almost as much as me, but with sloppier form. Once done, we went into the lockers. So what's up? I sat on a bench as he stripped down to his sweaty undies.
It's Jason.
Noel reached for a towel on the counter. Before you ask, dude, there's nothing between us. By nothing, it was nothing he should be concerned about.
How many times have you had sex in the last 3 months?
What? Wasn't that personal? And if there weren't people going in and out, I could watch Noel dig his grave faster.
You like Jason, don't you?
Noel slipped out of his underwear with his towel still wrapped around. A repeat of my marquee trick was in order if he wouldn't shut up. Just needed to make sure no one else saw.
Like really like him?
Bitch, please. I chugged a swig of water. You had your chance. Noel stepped back.
You know what you are, Riker? You're only a creature of the surface. We may both be models, and the fans may see just our bodies, but that's all you are. You may be the sexiest man alive on the outside, but inside, all I see is an empty shell of a man who puts on a surfer persona just so he has a few friends and might get by on kickbacks and blow.
You don't know me at all, dude. It wasn't a persona at all. Bitch wouldn't even watch me shred on mission if he didn't have to cram his head with stupid math. How many friends you have? Family don't count.
God, you're missing the point.
Noel facepalmed.
How many do you have? Like real friends, and TCS's fans don't count for you. Do you even know what a real friend is? There's someone who's there for you, who puts themselves aside for others, and for the last 3 months, I have never seen you do anything like that. You only care about yourself.
Shut up! With adrenaline pumping, I reached for his towel, but he jumped back far enough to keep a 5-foot gap between us. His unkempt emo hair hid his enraged face. You don't know shit about life. If you're not bulking, you're in your ivory tower, dude. No one cares about how shit's made. They just want it to work.
Fuck this.
Noel stomped off to the showers. My nerves began to calm down, but my adrenaline still kicked in. Arguing with Noel any longer could cost me my job. He was exactly like the others. Privileged life, no suffering, and a college degree handed to him on a silver platter. Exactly like Spencer. If it weren't for the free swag, that place of his in Santa Barbara would burn. Had to keep this argument away from Jason. Noel had a point, and if we were fighting, one of us would have to go, and it wasn't time yet. I changed into my Speedo and went into the hot tub. Noel gazed at me and walked off without a word. The soothing bubbles calmed me down, and with no one else in the tub, I sprawled out. It felt nice. Everyone may have pissed me off, but maybe it was my own fault. Start small, apologize to the fan, even for my own sake. Better to have him happy than for him to spread rumors against TCS. Kyle could wait, but not for long. I soaked in the tub for a little bit longer and then dried off. Nothing else to do here. Drake wouldn't care if I apologized now. Give him some space, then go for it. Another bus took me home. After all this time, not another word from even Jason. Did he forget about me?
Chapter 18. August 3rd, 2017. 3 days after the game, I strolled north of my apartment onto campus. Weekdays presented bigger stakes in the parking lot wars, and half a mile from my place to Price wasn't worth fighting. As soon as I reached Price, an empty table with 3 seats caught my eye. I claimed it and took my camera out, reviewing the filled SD card's album of water polo pictures. Dustin arrived 10 minutes late, humming an angry, odd-sounding tune with his black acoustic guitar case slung on his back. Everything about him was black, from his hoodie to his aura emanating from him. He stopped humming as I waved him down, giving my ears time to breathe.
We'll make this quick. I've got practice in a couple hours, so why'd you need me?
Drake said you knew some stuff about photography.
Dustin
looked lost in thought.
I don't know how to say this to you, but I think you're wasting your time talking to me.
I slid back in my chair. Was Drake wrong? Dustin took out a spiral notebook from his guitar case.
Here's the deal. Drake told you about me because I was in a few photo shoots with my band, right?
I nodded and frowned as I put my camera back in its bag.
I'd hate to break it to you, but I'm a music guy. Drake hangs out with a lot of friends, and don't get me wrong, I don't think you're a bad person, but Drake's connections are string thin at best.
You don't trust him?
As a teammate, yeah. Outside the pool, not so much.
You must not trust me then, yeah?
We just met 3 days ago, so no. Our fearless leader says you're a good photographer, and I trust him.
I nodded, noticing an athletic-looking student carrying a silver motorcycle helmet and wearing motocross gear walking towards our conversation. Dustin turned his head towards the guy as he set his helmet right side up on the table and sat down in the only open seat.
Who's this loser?
The stranger said, pointing at me.
I thought we were having a bite today.
Sky, this is Jason. He was at our game.
Oh, I remember now.
Sky shook my hand.
I don't care what Captain Spiky says. I'm the real star player. Number 13's going down in Triton history as the best water polo player ever.
I didn't care, and I already wanted to leave. Sky's presence ruined the perfect chance for me to hang out with Dustin.
You better shut that big mouth of yours.
Dustin scribbled in his notebook.
Your side lost, remember? Double practice for you, bud.
Ah, fuck, I forgot.
Sky picked up his helmet.
I'll catch you later, Dustin. Nice meeting you, photo boy.
He paced out of Price. Dustin scooted his bistro chair closer to mine, sliding his notebook with him. Thanks for getting rid of him. I gave him a friendly slap on his shoulder. Dustin brushed himself off.
Oh, don't worry about him. He's all talk since his brother took UCLA to the national championships a few years ago, and now he's in the Olympics. Sky would have been captain, but Gage is more popular, and he's a better player.
He flipped to a blank page.
So besides us, what do you take pictures of?
I pulled out my phone and brought up a picture of Riker from my last shoot with just him, scantily clad in that fearsome red metallic Speedo and draped in that matching silk scarf around his neck from one hand to the other. Riker insisted it was a shoot to represent passion. His passion. I showed Dustin the picture. He stayed silent for a few seconds to digest the image.
Okay then, so you like muscle guys.
Dustin pushed my phone back to me.
Not judging, but I don't swing that way.
What about the quality? I shoved the phone back into his face. It didn't matter whether Dustin was into the subject matter. The important thing was, would it sell?
Knock it off, man.
Dustin swatted my phone out of my hand. It bonked onto the table.
Look, it's a good photo. Decently lit, the guy's really gorgeous, almost unreal. I don't know where you found a specimen like him, but you've got your market, and this'll work for that. I'm just not interested with that kind of stuff. Show me a nice picture of us playing.
I reopened the camera bag and placed my camera on the table for Dustin to scroll through the pictures. There weren't any TCS pictures on the card, so there was no risk of Dustin seeing a man in a Speedo that wasn't on his team.
Nice. Okay.
The rapid clicks from the scroll buttons invaded my ears more than Dustin's nefarious humming.
I see why Gage trusts you. Crisp action shots are exactly what we'd need. For the most part, not a single blur in there.
He flipped the camera around, allowing me to see the LCD screen. The photo he picked showed himself tackling sky for the ball in superior quality and bright colors.
This one's the best. Send me that one. I'll frame it in the dorm.
I nodded. He'd have to wait for that picture, then he'd get a better version.
Hold on, man.
Dustin handed the camera back to me.
I'm getting a text.
I put the camera back in its bag again, while Dustin murmured to himself, checking his phone. I couldn't read his face. He always wore the same apathetic, emotional expression no matter what he said or did. Dustin's phone buzzed voraciously as he started to thumb a response.
Gage, really?
He walked off to answer the call, leaving his guitar case leaned against the table. 15 minutes later, Dustin returned.
Sorry, Jason, I've got to go now. Gage is such a control freak, double practice my ass. I'll text you my number if you want to hang out sometime.
Thanks, man. We collected our respective belongings and walked out of Price, going separate ways. A few hours later, I received a text from my new acquaintance passing through Lot 604.
Sorry about earlier. My bad for being a jerk today. You got a website for that muscle stuff? It'll sell better if you've got your own brand. Hope it helps. DW.
I texted back. Got one planned now, thanks for the tip.
MP.
Getting an official website for TCS was beyond my skills. Noel was smart, maybe he could help. With a running website and selling sports pictures on the side, I could easily be halfway done paying Tyler. The pinups sold much better than the first shoot, and the fans drooled over the curtain shoot with just Riker. Those two alone earned me $10,000 in profit after paying the models their shares. Sure, Dustin wasn't a fan, but TCS wasn't aimed at straight guys like him. Noel and I met at Balboa Park at the Central Promenade, a nice halfway spot between my apartment and San Diego State, where he had just finished some more research. We took a seat at a table outside the Science Museum and ordered drinks. Of course, he had to get a strong coffee. The trees gave us ample shade from the hot summer sun, and the nearby fountain mist cooled us down even further.
So why'd you want to meet me here?
Noel took a sip of his coffee. I wanted to make a few things clear, okay? And I also need your help.
What for?
Well, first, I want to talk about Riker. Before you say anything, there's no relationship between us, and that game we went to was just...
He already told me. If he's single, that's cool. But Jason, can I be honest with you for a moment? I don't care if you like Riker. Look, I don't even care if you like me. We're your models, and we'll do any pose for you however you want, and we'll help you with TCS the best we can. But are you going to try with him the same thing that you tried with me back in Vegas?
I wasn't going to fool him twice, but I couldn't control whether or not Riker officially confessed his love for me. To be fair, I couldn't answer Noel's question despite my eyes locking onto his youthful face.
You there? Guess you're not going to answer, and it really isn't my business. If you want to fuck Riker, then I don't really care, but I'm honestly trying to warn you about him. A few nights ago, we ran into each other at BBU, and he started boasting to me about how sexy he was, how he could turn a straight guy gay for him. We both know he's as ripped as I am, but do you know what sets us apart?
What, besides your looks? Noel slammed his palm against his forehead.
Jason, you're clueless sometimes. I can already tell that you have no social skills, and that you hired Riker and me just as models to be your friends. But if you didn't have that photographer's eye of yours, I would have quit back in Vegas.
What? How could Noel be saying that? Of course, he was right about my social life. Tyler didn't help much, but it wasn't entirely my fault. If you knew that I hired you to be my boyfriend, then why are you still here? Noel's stoic face cracked. He had an answer, but I could sense in his mind he didn't want to admit it.
Jason, I already told you why I wanted to be a model, but why did I pick TCS and not any other agency? Simple answer. You're a dreamer. You're innovative. You know how many straight guys there are in the world? About 100 as many gays. And how many straight modeling agencies are there, expecting guys to pose with girls, to be with girls, to not be within 50 feet of another guy? Exactly. Straights are homophobes. They marginalize us, call us sissies, and only talk about girls and cars. I could see in your eyes you've never talked to a girl in your life besides your mom, and that car of yours is only a means of transportation.
What are you trying to say? I rose from the chair. Just tell me already. Noel stood up and came within an inch of me. He poked me in the center of my chest before rubbing my shirt in the same spot. The fabric felt abrasive, but Noel meant well.
There.
He said.
There's your power.
Finally, something I could understand. And someone too. Even if our beliefs were slightly off in a literal sense, both of us knew that spiritual power came from a man's chest. Yours too, I said, rubbing both hands down his sculpted pecs. He laughed, then he let me go.
Funny, I heard you saying something like that to Riker a while back. So, how much of this power do I have?
You've got a lot. I stared at his chest for a minute. About as much as Riker.
Okay, is there some sort of test or proven theory to back that up?
Man, you're all techie. I just wanted to say that you're as physically powerful as I am in my heart. Noel bounced his pecs under his shirt.
Thanks, man.
Hey, before I forget, you know anything about making a website?
What, like for TCS?
Yeah, one of Drake's friends said I should get one. We can sell more photos on it, right?
Hey, don't worry about it. I'll make one. Just send me a few pictures of us. Just, not naked ones, though. We don't want people to think we're porn.
I nodded and said goodbye. We left the park going separate ways. 3 days later, the website was up and running with galleries of photos ready to sell. Most were from the modeling shoots, but I uploaded pictures from the water polo game for the occasional sports customer to buy. Anything a picture could be plopped onto was for sale. Mugs, calendars, and beach towels, to name a few. Sales increased tenfold, enough for me to consider paying back Tyler earlier than planned. After uploading everything else, I sent Dustin that picture he wanted. To check this, I opened up my online bank statement. From the marquee party, the pinups, and the water polo game, I had collected about $7,000 in profit. This was before the website sales, which would be transferred in a week. I sent the $7,000 to Tyler via an e-check and the other $3,000 once it arrived. There was no response from him, at least not yet. Even after a text and a voicemail, there was nothing. Wasn't sure if it delivered. Wasn't sure about Dustin's either.